Happy Man Talk Monday, guys. It is December 1st. Congratulations. You made it to the end of the year. We're going right from Thanksgiving into the Christmas season, the holidays. So, in this season, I can't help but reflect, maybe like you, on this past year and what it's been like. I don't know about you, but for me, it's been a rough one. It's been a rough year with my business. But it's been a great year in my relationship with the Lord. I was really forced into, and I say forced into, there were some decisions I made that really forced me to rely on God, probably, I'd say more than ever before financially. Um, as an investor and dealing in real estate and whatnot, one of my projects took almost a full year and was one of my lowest paying projects ever. And I just went headfirst into praying every day, um, praying for God to provide, praying for God to show up, praying for God to make a way. I did hear some whispers along the way of God saying, "Don't worry, I got you." And even though that's all I heard, I so badly wanted to know, God, how, when, where, what does that look like? And there started to become rising up in me a fear of failure, a fear of lacking, a fear of not having enough, a fear of running out of money. And I have a kind of a prayer sheet that I follow most days of the week, praying for my business. And above all, I surrender kind of my work to the Lord and I ask for peace above all. Yes, I do pray for some specific numbers. I do pray for some specific things to take place financially. Um, but I ask that his peace and joy that he can give would be the anchor for me and my heart to keep me steadfast and steady in a season of unknowns. And so with that, I wanted to take a moment to share with you something that did come to fruition for me just this last month. I told you that I had one deal that took over a year and it was one of my lowest paying deals ever. However, almost out of the blue, um, I had another deal come along and it went so quickly and it actually almost to the dollar amount paid exactly what we needed by year end to cover us financially, cover some of our debts, some things that we needed to pay off, and really more or less kind of help pay a salary for the year. All that being said, when I was walking away from this real estate sale and this meeting, and I was driving back home, they were so quick to basically more or less take my offer of what I wanted for the property. And very quickly, um, there's something started happening in my mind. I started kind of rationalizing. I was like, well, man, they were quick to take that number. Maybe they would have given me more for the property. Man, what could I do? What could I have done with more? Um, what would I have been able to purchase, or what kind of securities would I be able to have if I just had a little bit more money from that deal? And I realized very quickly, I said, this is greed. And so I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact I was glad that I was able to recognize that it was greed, but I didn't like how that made me feel. And so I know, especially as in my industry as an investor, greed is rampant. But I think it's something that we've all probably struggled with at some point in time. And it's something I want to point out as we go into the holiday season, as we talk about giving, talk about receiving, and we even consider maybe reflecting on this past year and looking at the year ahead, being aware of greed. And I call it the beast of greed because greed usually has to be fed for it to grow. And what I've seen as true of many men is it's just that next thing. It's just a little bit more. It's just a little bit more. It's that much more. And what you see is every time you give in to greed, into that notion, that feeling of feeding it, it tends to grow and it's never satisfied. So, definition here, greed is the disordered, insatiable desire to possess or control more than what God intends for you. A craving for accumulation that replaces trust in God with trust in created things. It is the elevation of material gain. It is self protection. It is self advancement above obedience, love, and dependence on God and what He can provide for you. And so, greed is not merely just wanting more, it's wanting more in a way that distorts our love and dependency on God and His provisions for us. It blinds us to how God actually provides for us, even on a daily basis. That God is the one that provides the food, the in front of us that we're able to nourish our bodies with. Um, he provides the means for us to breathe. He created our bodies in such a way to function, to fight off sickness, um, and so it's wanting more that disconnects us from the gratitude of the things that we already have and what He's already given us. And I would argue it anchors our identity in wealth or things or materialism or consumerism rather than our identity in the Lord and who He's made us to be and how we give to the world around us. So greed is fundamentally a worship issue. It's not a money issue. It's greed. In my opinion, it starts in the mind because our brain calculates numbers and stacks things up strategically of comparison of he has this, I have this, I need this much more to balance it out or to win. Um, but then it becomes a heart issue of feeling less than, not worthy to have as much as my neighbor or to finish ahead of someone else, rather than the heart saying, God is enough for me. What He gives me is enough for me. It's turning it's turning from this idea that God is my provider to I am my provider. So a couple of verses, if you guys want to take a further look at that, around idolatry, Colossians 3:5. This is the idea that it's not just a bad habit, but it really is the worship of something or someone even other than God. It's a false path to security. And so, this idea of just stacking our bank accounts as high as we can. Um, God is the giver. We are not the supplier. God is the supplier. The rich fool trusted the barns and the surplus more than he trusted the one that was actually giving. 1 Timothy 6, 9 through 10, it's a distortion of desire. We're not looking at desire in the right way. Um, Greed actually traps the soul, again, not because money is evil, but because of the love of money. It displaces, it replaces the love of God. And so, if the love of God is supposed to be the number one thing in our life, love God, love others. If we love money, it says that man cannot serve both God and money. And so, do we love money more than we love God? Do we love material things more than we love God? Do we give more focus to this thing, whatever it is that consumes our mind all the time, rather than God and Him being our provider? And then uh, Matthew 6:24 through 34. It's failure to trust in God's provision for us. Again, it's this idea of I must provide for myself rather than my Father knows what I need and will give it to me as I need it. Just like He takes care of the birds of the air and gives them their food every day, um, He will take care of us as well. And so, what, what I what I understand about greed is this, though. Well, greed's number one antidote is gratitude. Greed's number one antidote is gratitude. Take 5 minutes and write down everything that you're thankful for. And I guarantee you, once 5 minutes is over, there's still going to be things that you're thankful for. You have so much to be grateful for and to point back to God and say, thank you, Lord, for providing these things, these resources, these people, these experiences. Thank you. We develop a heart of gratitude. And I would also say that greed is a barrier to generosity. So as we think about going into the Christmas season, as we think about giving generously to others, to people in our family or outside of our family, or to organizations, or even Braveheart, greed is the hoarding mentality. Greed is protecting what God intends to flow outward from us. And so this idea of knowing when we have enough and having a very honest conversation with the Lord about that, knowing when we have enough, and then giving from a place of, I have enough. I have enough. And I mean, you can even make the argument of, the widow and the 2 coins, she gave more than everyone else because she gave what she had. But this idea of not having enough uh, in our day and age and where we live, and yeah, we feel like I just shared earlier, man, I've got some really big financial problems. The truth is, we are way better off than most of the world, and many generations before us. And so, giving from a place of knowing God will take care of me, He will provide, and I am a vessel of generosity, and not letting greed get in the way. Um, and so, with that, I would just encourage you to dwell on that a little bit today, as far as greed goes and gratitude goes. Where are you at with that? If you were to kind of, one would be on a scale from 1 to 10. One would be I'm a greedy person. 10 would be I live a life of gratitude and generosity. That would be a 10. Like, where are you at on that scale? Answer that for yourself. Or maybe even someone you really trust, someone you know really well, and you're okay with them giving you an answer. Like, ask them that question. Hey, would you say I'm a greedy person, a generous person? Am I a person that carries myself with gratitude? And maybe have a conversation about that. With that, I want to leave you with the last part of my prayer that I pray almost on a daily basis. And I really did see God show up this way for me this year, and that's why I share it. Ephesians 3:20. Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask for or imagine, according to His power that is work within us. And so I encourage you with that today. He's able to do far bigger things than we could ever ask or imagine. Do we put our trust and our hope in Him or in our own abilities? So lean into Him, be grateful, be generous, deny greed, and I hope you guys have a really great week this week.